Mom was in her pocket on both. And it was like I was putting for a par or putting for a bogey. And then all of a sudden we got 0 points. I did not do this, but I felt like helicoptering my club after that second 4 putt or 5 putt.
Listen, we've all been there. We've all been there.
She goes, wow, you were mad.
Well, hello and welcome back to your virtual tea time. My name is Tori and I am your host. And today we are diving into the California Crush Invitational, but by the perspective of my sister, who played with our mother for the tournament. They were partners. So my sister is a 7.5 handicap index and my mom is a 28 handicap index. And she has never played a tournament before. She's never been to one of my events before. She didn't know what to expect. And we kind of go through what it was like. This is a perfect episode, actually, really for any golfer, any index, but especially if you are a higher handicap index and you are a little tentative to play with lower indexes. Or let's say one of your really good friends is a lower index and you often feel maybe a little uncomfortable playing with them. This is the perfect episode for you. And also, if you are still lucky enough to play golf with your mother, this is a great episode for you, or any family member for that matter. The California Crush was a lot of fun, and I am just so happy that my mom was able to experience one of the events. And I think, I'm not totally positive, but I think that she might come to Desert Classic also. So fingers crossed that she comes to one of the weeks also, even if it was just to come to the parties. But I think that she's going to insist on playing. So I will have to find a spot for her. But we enter into the episode and my sister is looking at like my podcast art, you know, where I'm like half face and it says tea time on it. And she's giving me some feedback. I think she wants me to get a new photo. So that is where we start with this episode. Thanks again for listening. The Cali Crush Invitational was an amazing tournament. And if you weren't able to follow along, I'm going to be posting some footage of it within the next 2 weeks, you know, pretty consistently. So if you've never been to one of our events and you're curious about it, especially, and again, this is for those higher handicap indexes, if you believe that you are not good enough to play in this tournament or come to any of these events, whether it's the Desert Classic, the California Crush Invitational, we had the Dallas Shootout. If you don't think you're good enough, please continue to listen to this episode because I think that you might be feeling differently after you listen. All right. So let's get into today's episode with me and my sister, Alix.
Next up on the number one tee.
Why do you think I need to change my photo?
Because I feel like it needs to be changed every 2 years.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you think that's not what I look like anymore?
Is that when you had hair extensions?
No, that's just when I had hair.
Okay. All right. Well, no, I feel like you do look like that. I feel like you look really young there.
Oh.
No, like you look like a baby. I feel like it's like you're more mature now.
I took that picture the week before the first Desert Classic.
Yeah, that's why. I feel like you've gone through a lot.
I'm much more mentally ill at this point.
I just feel like it's time for, you know, because I have those business cards at Allie. And when I go to pull them out, I'm like, okay.
Oh.
Yeah, that's another whole topic.
All right. Well, you know how much fun taking your picture is and looking at all of them, choosing one to put out in the public. I guess I'll do that again. Hi. Okay. We are recording this at 9 a.m. the day after coming back from the California Crush Invitational. I am absolutely exhausted.
Compared to other events, I feel like it was the most manageable.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like high highs.
Yeah.
For like on acceleration. I don't know.
No. So I wanted to have Al here because our mother joined us for the first time. And why hasn't she come before? I think we need to give that reason. Well, if you know our mom, she just likes to go to two places.
and both are her homes. She goes up to Rochester, New York, and down to Cortez, Florida, and up to Rochester, New York. If she goes out to Arizona to see us, it's like, oh my goodness, like that's a long way for me.
Yeah, they consider it a chore. They do.
You said it, not me. But I was really grateful. I think, I think that's the word that comes to mind. Grateful because it is difficult to make the trek across the country. And I understand because we do it all the time. Yeah. And it is a lot. It's a time commitment. It's exhausting. It ages you. And I think it was important for her to spend time.
Yeah.
Observing and participating.
So our mom is 72 years old.
And she did awesome, by the way. She did really good.
And flying out of Rochester, New York is not easy. Like it's a haul. You're going from one side of the country to the other when you're going to Napa. So it's exhausting. And she just doesn't like to travel. Like traveling is not her thing. So seeing a new place, doing new things doesn't excite her.
We get to the hotel. So she gets there first. We get to the hotel and she doesn't have, she has one snack bag, which I'm like, okay, cool. She's like, should we get a car? And I'm like, well, maybe. She's like, well, I'm going to see if they have a car. So she starts researching. She's like, they have a car. I'm like, well, we can borrow Tori's if we want to go get snacks. She's like, well, I go, or we can get room service. She goes, what's that? And I go, we can just call and they could bring us coffee. And she said, oh, okay. Well, how do you do that? I mean, I'm not kidding. I mean, and she's been to hotels before. So I called, I got her fruit, I got coffee, we got bacon, I got a bagel, and she thought it was a miracle that they came and delivered it. She was like, this is great.
Yeah. So let's backtrack a little bit. So first of all, our goal was to sell out California Crush to 200 players. It ended up being 152 players. And about 3 months out, I started to realize we're not going to get to 200. It's going to be lower. Our commitment to golf was a full 200. We couldn't do anything about it. So I started realizing okay, I'm going to have some extra spots, not that I was going to give out to 200. That's not the case. But I was like, okay, now is the time to have mom there. So I gave her a call and I said, Mom, you're coming. You're coming to the California Crush Invitational. You're coming to Napa. I'm going to take care of your flight. I'm going to get you an upgraded room. I'm going to make sure it's as easy as possible. And you're going to come because you're going to have a great time. Because all this time we know she's going to have a great time. It's just a battle getting her there.
Right. Yeah. She's very busy.
Yeah. And she goes, fine, but I'm only going to play with your sister. So I go, fine, I'll make that happen. So I hang up and I call Al. I go, Al, you're going to come to California Crush because you weren't planning on it because it's a really busy time for you. And you need to play with mom and you need to take one for the team. And I really appreciate it. Thank you. Love you. I'll tell you what flights we're on.
And I was sitting in the car. She was on speakerphone with my husband and he was like, looks like you're going to California Crush.
Yeah. Well, Murray loves a glass of wine. So he's excited about Napa. He says, you should go. It was good that he was in the car because I think.
Yes, he was like, you're going to go. And not that I wasn't, but it was that moment of okay, we're coming into holiday. I have the stores. I need to be here.
Mm-hmm. It's a lot.
It was a lot. Yeah. But I was happy that she made the effort. And mind you, there has been 2 hurricanes in Florida. So that has really put her into a tailspin, rightfully so. Yeah. It was pretty much a direct hit to their house in Bradenton area. Yeah. Bradenton, Sarasota area.
5 days before the event.
Yeah.
She had every opportunity to be like, I can't do it. I got a lot going on. This is stressing me out. She kept calling me and saying, okay, I'm now going to fly from Rochester to Napa. I got a flight. I'm good to go. Because she was originally going to fly from Tampa to Napa. And she made it happen. And there was actually a ton of players from Florida that made it happen.
We met the Miami girls.
There was a bunch from Fort Myers and Naples and Tampa and St. Petersburg, and they all
made it happen.
Yeah, they were all stressed, but they were like, we know we can get to that later, and we're gonna still come, and they were able to be present and have a blast. So the reasoning. My mom has never come to begin with, but she's a higher handicapper. She's a 28 handicap index.
Yeah.
Alix is a 7.5. So Alix pretty much had to like be okay with just like playing for fun.
Yeah. And playing with a higher handicap is not a problem at all.
No.
It just is more of you, meaning me, don't want to like you want to be able to carry the team.
Yeah.
And mind you, I'm a 7.5, but was a 10 and had a few good 70 something rounds.
She's had a good summer.
Yeah. Forest Highlands at the end, like figures something out late in the season where you're like, oh,
this is how to play the game of golf.
This is where I'm supposed to put my elbow. Not over here. It's supposed to be in.
It's not supposed to be flailing in the wind while you're swinging a golf club, that darn elbow.
Yeah. Actually, funny story on that. So we were in Kohler at Tori's event, Creek Cup, and I had one of the girls, we were in a foursome together. She had videoed me on the tee box. I don't know if I told you this, but she videoed me and sent it to me as we were playing. I did not know that. So I get back, I'm looking at myself on that video. I'm like, what the heck is that swing? Seriously. Like it was almost like I took the club back, did a full circle with my club and then brought it back down. Like my wrist was cocked up or something. So visually, just being a tennis player, I was able to say that's in the wrong position. I know now where it needs to be just from visually seeing people swing good swings.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's bad. And so I just worked on it myself and I made it happen as to where it needed to be. But I'm a visual learner. So anyways, that's why I dropped to a 7.5. Yeah, that video helped.
There's a lot of things about watching your golf swing on video that is really hard to watch. It's like brutal but it's very helpful at the same time. And we have Everardo on every trip, right? So he's taking photos of us swinging a golf club nonstop at all our events. And without fail, like the first day of golf, whether it's Desert Classic, well, I don't play Desert Classic, but like our trip in June or a Scotland trip or, wherever, the first round we have, he takes pictures of us and I see photos of my swing and what my bad habit is. And I'm like, oh, delete those immediately. But it does remind you like, okay, you're doing this.
Right. You can't feel it. You see the result, which it's bad, but you go through all these checklists in your mind of like what it could be when really you should just have somebody video you. And if you are that person that is a visual person or have played athletics that have been taught at a young age, I think it helps. It almost like you revert back to like your young years where you're like able to make those adjustments really well. Yeah. If you're coachable.
Exactly. So anyways, back to my mom. So there's no problem with playing a high handicap index. The thing is about my events is that there's a 10 stroke differential. So she's a 28 handicap index, but had to play to a 17. And that's really impossible. I've tried to do it multiple times myself, having a partner that's a much higher handicap index and just having to come down. And you think, okay, it's fine. I'll play really well and she'll contribute on, half the holes and we'll be fine. It doesn't work like that. No. It's really hard for players to come down there, play to a much lower handicap index.
Now, and I think the important thing, if you're listening to this and you are a beginner and you have a friend that is a really good golfer and they ask you to play, they're not worried about you. I was worried more about my play and being able to, I knew we weren't going to like place or win or anything, but more just so that she didn't have pressure. She didn't feel pressure. Yeah. And so that's like an important thing too, because we know if you have a handicap of a 30 or a 28, we know you're not going to play to a 10.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not a big deal. Like it doesn't, I can't tell you how many times I say to people, when they're playing with me and they appear nervous or they tell me they're nervous to be playing with me, I'm like, I don't care. Like, I'm not paying attention to you. No offense. But I'm just worried about myself, my own golf game.
Totally.
Like, I'm not judging you. I'm not like, I'm here to have a good time and enjoy our walk and to play the best golf I can play. So
we're going off on the first tee. Okay. And not to speed ahead. I said to Mom, so we're driving, and the whole time my mom has never played a tournament like at all. So it's not like she's played a member guest at her club. Nope. She's maybe played She played the 9-hole group in her, WGA, and then has played a couple 18. I mean, I think she's only played like 6 times maybe at Oak Hill.
And in the ladies group. Yeah. I mean, she still works, so it's hard for her to get out to Ladies Day, but she doesn't do any of those formal tournaments. Like maybe a scramble format.
And I think that's been with us, like a scramble format, like in a pink ribbon at Arizona Country Club. So we're riding out to our first hole, and we're playing with Kim and Pat. So Kim Eaton and Pat. And Pat is a higher meaning higher than Kim.
Yep. Pat's about a 17 index.
Okay. So she's playing down.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. I said, Mom, are you nervous? And she's like, no. Like, just like that. If you know my mom, she'd be like, no. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good. She's like, should I be nervous? Like, why'd you ask me that? I'm like, no, I'm just wondering. I was just gonna like coach you through or like.
Well, because in that scenario, were you a little nervous? Because before a tournament and any tournament, I get a little jittery. Like I almost like excitement, to play and compete.
No, I actually was not at all. Yeah. And I had never played with Kim, which we were on the first tee, and she's like, we've never played together. Which
I find crazy.
No, I was not nervous at all. I was more just trying to, knowing that my mom had never played, and I was worried that, I know Kim is a really good golfer and obviously knows the rules. So I was worried more for Mom, like hitting out of turn or doing something that they would be not upset with her. They wouldn't be upset, but more just call her out and make her feel bad, which I know they're not going to do that.
No, but you sometimes get embarrassed when you shouldn't get embarrassed,
So I was more and I set the tone on the tee box. I said, I just want you guys to know this is our first tournament. Please, if there's anything that she is doing, just let us know, just let me know. Mm-hmm. And I was definitely trying to manage the situation, but I have to tell you, she knew all the rules. She was fine.
Yeah.
The only thing she played in turn, which actually I've played with her many times. She plays out of turn all the time. Yeah. Her and Dad, they just go.
We love ready golf.
Yeah.
So I'd rather her be that way than the other way. But
But I was, it's hard when you play like that all the time to then all of a sudden be cognizant of who should be hitting.
Yeah.
And saw this happening. So she doesn't like to mark her ball either. She just leaves her ball on the green.
Yeah.
So I'm always like, Mom, mark your ball, mark your ball, mark your ball. And so she was going to go mark it. And I knew that it was in like Kim or Pat's
way. Yep.
I'm like that. I called out. I said, okay, that she does not know how to mark her ball. So that was like a learning thing. And she was like, why are you wanting me to do that? Like, what does it, how does all this happen? I have to line it up with the tree. Why am I doing this? So,
because Kim or Pat asked her to move it. Because it was in their line.
Mark it and then move it. Okay. So, I'm always sometimes confused too. Like, I feel you have to mark it, then move it. But they were saying just mark it to, so I just wanted to show her the right way. So I was showing her the right way, but she did good. That was the only thing I think that she rules wise, had trouble with.
And just to put in perspective, our mom's been playing golf. I mean, I hate to say it, just almost as long as we have, definitely as long as you've been playing golf, Alex.
Right.
But she's just always casual golf, like always just going out, playing 9 holes with our father. It's like it's rarely keeping score. She just goes out there to have fun, get good exercise and try and get better. But she,
and she always walks too, like at Bradenton Country Club. So she was like, oh, this will be easier because I don't have to walk. Yeah. And so she held up for 18 holes. Like she started getting a little tighter at 16, I would say, after 16 holes. But it was primarily because we started in the afternoon the first day.
Yeah.
The morning one, she was fine.
Yeah. And I could see that. Starting that late is tough. Like people want to get that afternoon shotgun because you're able to sleep in. But at the same time, starting at 1:30.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's closer to my bedtime than my wake up time.
No. And she did really good. She didn't need a nap. I think she napped once, you know, like took a 15-minute nap because again, it's hard.
It's hard. It's a lot. Once the event starts, and this is any event, it just goes nonstop. Like that's why I'm so exhausted today. You know, it's minimal sleep but it is a lot of fun. So that first round, this tournament was a 2-day tournament. Both days were best ball, gross and net. So I had them paired with Kim and Pat the first day. But then the second day, I didn't know anyone else in your flight, like to pair you with that I knew would be a good match. So I was just like, okay, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I paired them with two ladies that I didn't know. But I picked them based on their index. Like one partner was very close to Alix and the other partner was a higher handicap.
That's what I figured. Yeah. We were exactly the same dots on the card, which was super helpful, super easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that round go? Knowing like, okay, you don't know them. Yeah. Mom definitely doesn't know them.
So first of all, just setting the tone, I am the type of golfer that loves to play with new people. So if there are people that I know, I would prefer to play with that couple or those partners that I don't know. Yeah. I have no problem playing with other people. Yeah. So they were from Chicago. So
that was interesting.
As you guys know, I can talk Chicagoan because I lived there, and being from Rochester, I feel like people think we're from the Midwest.
Well, tell the listeners when you lived in Chicago and why and everything.
So I was born and raised in Rochester, but I left home when I was 11. I went to a tennis academy in Florida. So when people ask me where I'm from, it's kind of hard because I've lived a lot of places and I only was in Rochester until the age of 11. So I moved to Florida. Then I went back to played the tour, did all that stuff, also went to University of Arizona in Tucson, and then moved back to New York. And that's where I met my husband, who's from Baltimore. We were there a year, and then we were relocated out to Pleasanton, East Bay area, San Francisco area in California. Had my first child there, and then he was transferred to Chicago. So I was there for 8 years, and I feel like that's where my daughter was born. That is where I started my businesses. That portion of my life, that 8 years, felt like 20 years. I feel like. So when people ask me where I'm from, sometimes I feel like I find myself saying I'm from Chicago, but I was only there for 8 years. But my accent feels like Chicago.
Yeah. And you lived in a couple suburbs, but you ended up in Hinsdale. And that's where your stores are too.
I have 2 stores in Hinsdale, and then we're now in Phoenix. But anyways, so when they said they were from Chicago and they were from, I think they were from, one of them was from Butterfield, maybe country club. I think, I'm not sure. I can't remember, but they were lovely. I think they were in contention at that time. I did not look at the leaderboard because I looked once and after the first day we were DFL. So we were last place. Now, mind you, we were last place net and last place gross. That's hard to do. I don't want to say that I'm pretty competitive.
No, she's very competitive. You go out to win.
I have no problem saying that I was DFL. I have a problem with come on, Al, you can do it. Yeah. That was my goal the next day.
Let's at least get to second to last.
And I did not, backing up the first day, I didn't strike the ball badly at all. My drives were in the fairway. I was not in the rough. I had great approach shots. Maybe it was a little short. Maybe it was a little long. I had trouble with that course. What course did we play first?
So we were at Silverado Golf Resort, which is, they have the North course and the South course. We played the South course the first day, North the second day.
Okay. So I had no practice rounds. I'd never played it. I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't putt at all because sometimes if I putt on those practice greens and then go out there, I'm not a confident putter, but I would say I'm a decent putter, like an average putter.
Yeah.
My chipping is usually really good. I kept figuring out like, okay, I need to club up 2 clubs. Like if it says it's 130, I got to hit my 145 to 150 club.
Yeah.
And that's one of those things too. You don't have a partner that can help you figure that. Like if I was playing with you, we would have been communicating like, okay, what did you hit on that? And you would have said to me, you need to club up, Al.
Yeah.
Like
This, we would have been able to strategize a little bit more.
So it was all on me. And I was also trying to tell my mom what to hit, which she goes, I looked at her the first hole. She goes, I go, okay, hit your 120 club. She goes, oh, I don't know what that is. I didn't bring my cheat sheet.
She does. She has
and
a
I'm
cheat
like,
sheet.
well, let's can we make it right now? Like as we're playing?
Yeah.
But that was funny. So I had to figure out that as we were going up to the mountain on that side, I mean, that could have been a full 2 club lengths, even more.
Yeah.
And then when you got up close to the green, they were kind of elevated a little bit. The grass was so coarse that I looked down. I never can tell the grain, where the grain is going. It was always coming off that mountain. I don't know if you know, well, you didn't play out there. It was coming down. So every time I'd take out my sand wedge, which was my chipper, I call it my chipper, my sand wedge, I would chunk it. And I never chunk. I don't
No,
chunk
you're
chips. So then I had to, after 12 holes, I'm like, I think I have to use my gap wedge to chip.
Yeah.
So then I had to chip up. So I shot a 92 on the first day, which I was happily putting that into record my score. Yeah. I was like, bing. Yes, let's bring that handicap down where it's supposed to be. Up. But it was interesting to try to figure out like what to do and how to play. So anyways, the reason we were in DFL was because I shot a 92 as a 7.5 handicap,
but
which
keep
is a
in
problem.
mind, everyone struggled. I mean, even Kim, who's a scratch golfer, shot an 81 or 82, something like that.
And she was definitely not, I would say, not happy. Like she was disappointed in her play. Poor Pat was also struggling. Yeah. Mom was struggling, but rightfully so. I mean, she hadn't played in a while and it was tough. Yeah. So I said to Mom on the second day, we're going out there. I said, Mom, we cannot have zeros. So we were playing Stableford.
Yeah.
So I'm not a very good understander of like, okay, shamble versus scramble, Chapman versus blah, blah, blah.
So here's the deal. We did best ball both days. That is the format. But we use Stableford scoring. And what's nice about Stableford scoring is that you have a max.
Yes.
You know,
thank goodness.
Because once you get to a double bogey, that's 0 points. So your max is always whatever your net double bogey is for that hole. So that at that point, if you are still putting at net double bogey, you're able to just pick up and move on. So it helps pace the play. It probably relieves some stress from players, knowing that there's an end in sight.
Right. And Mom kept, I would be like, Mom, pick up. She's like, I can pick up now. I'm like, yes, pick up. You're at a 7 or you're at an 8 or whatever. So the second day I looked at her, I said, Mom, we cannot do a 0. Yeah. So for me, a lot of times it was just a double that was for me to pick up. Yeah. If I was putting for a double, if I didn't make that bogey, I was picking up, which is a lot of pressure on Mom. But she had 16 strokes the second day and all she was focused on. Yeah. She would get in the cart and she'd be like, did I get a point? I said, Mom, you're shooting, you're wanting to get a double. Just get a double. Yeah. So if it's a par 4, you're getting a 6. If it's a par 3, you're getting a 5 because she was getting, again, most strokes on most holes.
Because again, her 7 was really a net 6. Because she got a stroke on it. So you'd still get
1 point. We were just gearing for 1 point. So she did that a lot better. It was almost like it was better for me that I was giving her like little mini goals of just saying, this is what you want to do. It was also telling her, let's just capitalize on her strokes 50% of the time. Because a lot of times when you have strokes, you get upset with yourself when you don't capitalize on a stroke.
Well, and you have the stroke there. Let's have a little reminder. You have the stroke on that hole because you're not supposed to get a par on that hole. Right. You know, like based on your level that you're playing at right now, if you have a stroke on a hole, that means most likely you're going to get a 6 or you're going to get a bogey. Excuse me.
Right.
And that's okay. That's what you should be shooting for.
Right.
Is that bogey. And right now I'm going to just insert a clip from Justin Klimbala because he has a great tip on course management about exactly what we're talking about.
So when we do have double bogeys or worse, hopefully we're not making more than double bogeys, but if you do, you really want to circle them and really try to figure out why are we making those double bogeys, you know? And sometimes it comes from that too high of an expectation where you're thinking you have to try to make par when bogey should be your par. So this first one here, net par is a good goal. So if you have a handicap of 18, let's just say, that means that you should be averaging a bogey on every hole. And this is something that even Tiger Woods did as a kid. And his dad gave to him was a net par. Like, what is your individual par that you should be trying to go for? Not the par of the actual hole is a crucial one. So knowing what your net par is and trying to not try to strive for those pars, because sometimes you take extra risks when you really don't need to. And that's what turns them into double bogeys.
So back to the round.
Okay. So my mom did so much better day 2 because she was obviously more comfortable. I think more comfortable. She was warmed up. She knew what to expect. And I gave her that mini goal, which after every hole, she'd get in the cart. Did I make the point? Did I make the point? I know you're probably thinking, did she not know how she was playing? No. You have to understand our mom, golf and her, it's almost like oil and water a little bit. She doesn't get it sometimes, and not in a mean way, more just in a way like, wait, what was that?
Yeah.
Okay. What does that mean? Did I score? Did I not score? So
it's harder than you think going from all casual golf to actually keeping score and trying to do well.
Yeah.
You know, it's a different ball game. It's a different type of pressure, you know?
So, back to our playing partners too, they were, I think, in contention, maybe first or second. I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
And she kept getting in the cart too and saying, are we beating him? I'm like, Mom, it's not about that. She's like, but are we close? But for her, staying close to them was important. So I just kept saying, I kept adding up the points, and we were neck and neck, like through 9. And they pulled away. We had a couple bad holes. It was one of those holes. I 4-putted 2 holes in a row. Ugh. So we were probably, we started on 12 or something. So we were probably maybe 12 holes in at this point. So we're on the front and those little putts where the hole is placed sideways and you're just trying to gauge the speed. You're trying to gauge how far out you need to put it. You're at if you go right at the hole and go hard, you're going to be 20 feet past the hole. Mom was in her pocket on both. And it was like I was putting for a par or putting for a bogey. And then all of a sudden we got 0 points. I did not do this, but I felt like helicoptering my club after that second 4-putt or 5-putt.
Listen, we've all been there. We've all been there.
She goes, wow, you were mad. I was mad.
Yeah.
I was. But I got myself back all good. You've played with those weirdos that get all mad and they stay mad the whole round. I tried to come back after that. That was hard.
Yeah, you want to, because again, you play with the people that stay mad and don't talk, and it's not fun. It's not fun. But in that scenario, I wanted to say, because those putts are hard, those 3 to 5 footers that are big breaks.
Yep.
You almost have to pick your speed first. Like, how do you want to hit this speed wise? Would you prefer to hit it lightly, or would you prefer to ram it in? And you pick that first, and then you pick the line.
Right. One of those things too, where, do you leave the pin in? They're bouncing off the pin. Do you take the pin out? Hole is bigger, but yet you're just decelling like a banshee, at that point when you're missing putts. And, it really is discouraging when, these were inside the leather too. So playing a casual round with girlfriends, they would be gimmies.
Oh yeah.
And you end up going past the hole 2 times.
Yeah. So you all of a sudden went from a gimme 4 to a 6 with 0 points.
Yeah. No, it was
helicopter the putter away into the Silverado pond.
No, it was so bad. But we rallied and we got it back. And, we're like in the last 3 holes. and we're getting like, maybe I got a par the next one. So that's like 4 points or 6 points or something. I don't know. It's crazy. Like you're like, okay, we're getting back on this. And we get to the last hole and it's a par 3 over the water. It's the end of the round. She's played 35 holes and we have this. I'm superstitious a little bit. I asked her at the beginning of the round if she wants to go first or second. And she was like, second. I'm like, okay. So I stayed true to that pretty much the whole time. And I get up there, I go, Mom, you go first.
Yeah.
So she goes first and it's maybe, I want to say it was 110. And I heard the lady, it was Ellen, I think. She goes 130. So I'm in the
telling
cart.
our playing partner to hit 130.
Yes. Yeah. Because we're going up in the mountain, but I thought she said it's 130 and it's over the water. And so I go to get my 7-iron, so I'm thinking maybe it's 145 because we're going up in the mountain. So I look at it. I'm like, it looks, is this 111? So I go, wait, is it 111 or 130? She goes, no, it's 110, but I was telling her to play at 130.
Yeah.
So Mom just goes up there. Now,
she hasn't heard any of this conversation.
No, I don't think she's heard. So I go back to get the different club. That's when she goes up and hits it. She hits a hybrid. That thing goes over, clears the 100 yards of water because it was a forward pin. It jumps up. I'm like, this thing is going to go in the hole. It goes up and it goes within, I would say 6 inches of the hole.
Oh my God.
She looks back and she's like, is that good? Is that good? What just happened?
Meanwhile, the three of you are still trying to decide clubs.
I'm like, what's happening? So I'm not trying to get too excited because these greens are tough. She could 3-putt that,
exactly.
So I hit it and I'm good. I clubbed up a little bit. So I'm much farther away from the hole, but I'm on the green. So it's all good. We walk up and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we're at least going to get a par. I would think.
Yep.
So I'm away. I putt in and I leave my putt well short of the hole again. Yeah. I have yet to make a putt for 35 holes where it's a tap in. I'm either blowing by it or I'm leaving myself a hefty putt to make par. I go, Mom, do you want to go before me?
Yeah.
She goes, yeah, I want to go. I go, okay.
That's exactly how she sounds.
Yeah, I want to go. I'm like, okay. So they're in for a 3. She lines up and I said, Mom, just back of the cup. And I said, I had started singing. For those of you who know me, sometimes when I get stressed out,
she sings. It's a coping mechanism.
So I sang like, ball, get into the hole. Something weird.
Ball, it just is back in the cup.
I have this thing where I don't like silence. So I like people to talk when I'm playing or hitting. It relaxes me. So I start singing. And so I said, Mom, go ahead and sing it. Sing it back at the cup. She drains the putt. Okay. We all start jumping up and down. She's like, what did I do?
Because did she get a stroke on that too?
No, it was the one because she had 16. I know she had 16 pops, and this one, which again was 100-yard carry over the water, par 3.
Yeah.
So you would have thought that maybe some of the other ones were not as hard, but anyways, she was so excited. I took pictures and she did her first birdie shot
ever.
Probably. She's never done a shot. Well, she's probably done a shot, but she tells us she's never done a shot, just like she never has dessert. Yeah.
Our mother is more of like, she can't drink before 5 o'clock kind of gal. So to have a birdie shot out there
at 12:57.
That was very adventurous of her.
So Ellen had brought, you could tell, she brought cups and she's
ready to go.
She delivered the cups and she poured it, and it was a combo of butterscotch walnut whiskey with I don't know, something, and it tastes like a bonbon, like a cinnamon bonbon. And Mom drank it, and I had to sing the song. I was trying to remember one of those birdie songs like Jan Hare always sings. I'm like, what is that song? And she was very excited. We got some pictures, and she said, I had tears in my eyes.
And I believe it. Her 36th hole, she birdies. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it was. And she really did such a good job.
Yeah,
it was tough conditions. Tough conditions, meaning the course was tough.
It was challenging and everyone struggled. I mean, I was shocked. Everyone kept coming in and they're saying they're struggled, and, you know, really good players are coming in feeling defeated. And I'm like, God, what the hell's going on out there? Because I didn't bring my clubs. I didn't play.
The rough was bad, but Mom was used to it from Oak Hill. And she got in a few sand traps. Man, she popped that ball out, and she goes, I said, one of them was one of the fairway ones. And a lot of times you don't practice those, because I was listening to Justin Klumbala about that too on your podcast. And the biggest thing is, you know, what to do. So I started trying to tell her what to do, which normally 99% of the time she's like, what do I do here? How do I do this? She goes, don't worry, I got this. This is like Oak Hill. And she went in there. She popped that thing out of that. I mean, she was on the side of an embankment of a steep fairway bunker, and she popped it right out. No problem.
Oh my God, she is so funny.
Yeah,
she is so funny. And then obviously, so they went and had lunch after. So the last hole of their tournament was done. They go to have lunch. Then they go see Lisa Longball, and I'm sitting in the back just watching the clinic for a little while. And of course, Lisa Longball, as soon as my mom raises her hand for being a left-hander, if you've been to Lisa Longball's clinic, you know exactly at what point she says that. And my mom raises her hand as a left-hander, and Lisa starts cheering her on for having a birdie, and the whole group is clapping for her.
Yep.
And that's really what it's all about.
Yep. No, everybody was, you know, that is the one thing, like Lisa really talks about, women supporting women and uplifting women and positivity. And truly, I think in general at Tori's events, it is 100% women supporting women and celebrating those milestones that those women have. And we come back in, have lunch, and we sit down next to two girls from Denver. And immediately we start talking, because my daughter goes to DU. She's a swimmer at University of Denver. And I always am like, oh, I go there, blah, blah, blah. And she said, oh, your mom, that's her first tournament. She goes, it's my first tournament too. I've never played 18 holes in a row.
Like 2 days in a row.
No, like she's only played 9 holes. She's never played an 18-hole round. I'm like, wow.
And they ended up winning their flight.
They did.
Or won one of the prizes in their flight. So
yeah, there was a lot of great results too. People were so excited.
No,
I love it.
Excited. So let's fast forward then to the awards. And Mom, she realized she was in the first flight. And there was 8 flights. So
Tori gets up on stage and says, okay, we're going to announce the winners. So she does overall gross and overall net. She has 8 flights and she has 3 winners per flight, which that I feel is deep. You know,
3 winners, first, second, third gross, and then first, second, third net in each flight.
Right.
So
they show first flight. You know, Mom doesn't say anything, you know, because obviously we're not in the top at this point. 7 because Kim and Kat were taken out. Okay.
That's true.
Which I didn't even look to see, but Tori did confirm we did not finish DFL, and so it was just one up from there, I'm sure. But so she and that was because of Mom's birdie. So we get to the second flight and the third flight, and Mom comes over. She goes, Al, I cannot, what was I doing in flight 1? And I'm like, well, you know, I'm trying to explain to her, and she's clearly not listening or not caring.
Yeah.
So the next one goes, she goes, what? There's more flights? Why was I on flight 1? So we go all the way to 8. So from 4 to 8, she keeps coming up to me saying, there's a flight 8. Why was I in flight 1? So, you know.
Because meanwhile, I mean, our events are all levels. So my mom could have been in flight. Like if she had a partner that was like a 20 handicap or even the same handicap as her, a 28, she would have been in the 7th or 8th flight. Like, and be competing against people of the same level.
Yes.
So she absolutely could have placed.
So, and this is an interesting thing because I didn't know she said I'm only playing with Al. So halfway through, I said, Mom, this is the only, like, you have to start competing in these things at your club. This is the only way you're going to get better. Mm-hmm. And she's like, yeah, I have friends that ask me all the time, but I think they don't want to play with me. I'm so bad. And I'm like, well, you want to pick people that are the same level. So she's like, well, yeah, I think I can do that. I'm like, you have to do that.
Yeah.
And I said, for example, today, how many times did you have to hit over the sand? She's in the rough. So she had hit her shot. She's short. She went kind of cockeyed. She brought a hazard into play. So a huge bunker to then hit over onto the green. She's like, what club do I hit? So the first time I'm like, I don't know. Like, what do you think you need to hit?
Yeah.
So we go through the whole thing. We're doing between 9s and 8s over that bunker to get on an elevated green. So by the end, she had hit, I would say 7 or 8 of those exact shots. So every time we'd come up to ball, I'm like, remember that one you hit on the last hole? You're hitting the same shot. Take the same club. So I said to her, I'm like, what other situation would you play where you're hitting these clubs where you're never practicing them? It's situational and you are saying, okay, I have confidence now. I know how to hit this shot. Yeah. And that's how you get better.
Yeah, it is. And putting yourself in these situations where like there's pressure. There's a little, even if it's just a little bit of pressure, it's more than just going out with dad.
Yeah. Dad. I get her in the cart too. And I think I'm a decent cart driver. You know, I'm always going to her ball first, whatever. So I get in and she gets in, but she always leaves a leg out. Okay. So I don't know if you ever noticed that. So she gets in, but she's not all in. One ass cheek is kind of like hanging out.
God,
so the one time she goes to get in, she's sat down. Well, I take off and I almost take off her leg and she's like, oh, Jesus, that's what your father does to me. I'm like, Mom, get in the cart.
Get both legs up here. This is not a side saddle situation.
So with her and Dad, they are arguing at least 9 holes about how he's driving bad. He's leaving me. He doesn't go to my ball first. So
I think we can all relate to that.
I said, so that's why you want to play tournament golf. You don't have to deal with that.
Oh my God. I mean, I could get into that. When Casey drives, okay, because I let him drive, okay, in a tournament situation.
And Tori likes to drive.
I am always the driver. Okay. But with my husband, Casey, the few times we play together, usually it's a tournament situation, like it's a co-ed event. So I let him drive and I'm telling you, I can't, I have to bite my tongue to not say anything. Okay. He's blown by my tee box. He's driving on par 3s. Like driving on the cart is not available. I'm like, why did you just pull over into the grass when we could just park on the cart or a cart path? Like it is.
Casey, when I drove him around to Forest Highlands.
Yeah.
He told me at least 6 holes straight. He's like, Tori, I played that tournament. She was so mad at me. She was so mad because I putted, like I 5-putted once, but like I meant to do it.
Oh my God. Oh
Casey
my God.
is very funny. He is the polar opposite of Tori.
He is on the golf course. Yes. We are very much alike, but on the golf course, it is just all bets are off. We have a good time though. I mean, that's why I started golfing. So
totally. Yeah. So people also I am a right-handed person.
Yeah.
I play golf left-handed. Mom is a right-handed person, plays golf left-handed. So these people we were playing with, they're like, why are you guys playing left-handed? I'm like, well, because I don't know. That's just a 2-handed backhand. So that feels natural. And they said, well, does Tori play left-handed? I said, she did.
Yeah.
Up until you met your husband. And when you guys started, he's like, you're not playing left-handed.
Yeah. I don't know if it was him or an instructor. I don't remember really.
No, you said, I remember you telling me.
Left-handed came natural.
Yes.
Because it's our backhand.
So we would have all been playing left-handed.
And you would have gotten a lot of clubs. Every time. So I go through a lot of golf clubs, right? And every time I switch a golf club, I'm like, Al, do you want this club?
No,
it's
every
brand
time.
New. I'm
every time.
And she's like, I'm left-handed. I'm like, that is dumb. Stop. So now I'm giving them to Haley.
Yep. And
your daughter.
Haley is practicing. She's making it a Sunday thing.
Yeah.
She is outfitted with the best pumps, man.
No, I love that.
College kid that doesn't golf that much has like a full set of Titleist irons.
Yeah.
The best Titleist driver.
So, okay, let's wrap with, our overall thoughts on how Mom did. Because again, she's a much higher handicap index. And obviously she had an absolute blast at all the parties. Oh my God. I was worried that she was going to be like on Alex's, like be following Alix around the whole time and be totally dependent on her.
Oh, no.
Like not wanting to talk.
I was looking for her.
Oh my God. We couldn't pull her out of the parties. Like she wanted to go to the after parties. We don't do after parties, Mom.
No.
We go to sleep.
No, the last night, she's like, I'm not leaving. I'm like, okay, you need to leave right now. Okay, the party is done. This is the last song. Encore. Done.
I know.
Nobody else is going to be here soon. She's like, you go. I'm staying.
She reminds me of Jan Hare in that moment.
Oh my gosh.
If Jan Hare is there, she would be partying with Jan.
She had those fingers. She points her fingers when she dances. So she takes her index fingers on both sides, both hands. And she does this thing where it's like the Bee Gees. I don't know. Is it the Bee Gees?
Like
where
her dance moves
are very
stopped
Bee Gee-ish.
excelling in the 70s. They stopped. They halted.
So it was almost like Casey, the DJ, not Casey, Tori's husband, but Casey, the DJ, knew that Mom liked disco and was all into disco. She was like, "Oh yeah,
yeah." But no, it was great.
But she had a blast. Sorry, we diverted.
She did have a good time. But I just want to say, like, if you have never been to an event and you think that you need to be some level of golfer, like that's not like we have all, and this goes for the lower handicaps too. I don't want to pretend that all our events are all higher handicaps too. Like we are competitive, like for all levels.
There was truly all levels there. Like there's some events too where I feel like, gosh, there is a ton of low handicappers, like at Desert Classic. Sometimes that's the case. But again, there's so many people that there is a ton of high handicappers.
Yeah.
This one had a little bit more like right in the middle. Like it was like, I felt like there was a lot of like, I don't know, both high and both low, but nobody knows when you go to the parties. Nobody knows.
Nobody knows.
Nobody cares. And you just have a love of meeting other golfers. You meet the best people. As you get older, there are some people that say, "Oh, I have a lot of friends," but there are some people that say they don't have a lot of friends, which would probably be me a little bit. Like
me too.
I feel like I don't like. I want to be friends with people that are like-minded, meaning if they enjoy getting better, I don't know, like just being an athlete at heart. Like I always relate to those people, and you find that at Tori's events and even at other events at your club. I'm just saying, like at all, go experience
You'll find your
it.
people.
You will, and you change numbers, and I'm hopefully going to go play some golf in Chicago at Castle Pines and
wait, was it in Chicago or Denver?
Sorry, Denver.
Yes.
Denver. Sorry, Denver at Castle, or is it Castle Rock? Is it Casterly Rock?
No, that's Game of Thrones. But let's do that too. We could go play golf at Castle Rock and then go to Ireland or wherever they film that and go to Casterly Rock.
I'm gonna start calling it Casterly Rock. But anyways,
but then just remember, like they all, like again, it's an investment, and they all come to play golf because they love playing golf, but also to have a really good time.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why it meshes really well, because we're all there for the same reason, play good golf and to have a good effing time.
Yeah, no, totally. And there are people that drink and there are people that are sober.
Oh, yeah. For
that
sure.
too. So if you are a sober person and you're like, okay, is this a big drink fest? It is a drink fest, but I don't drink a lot. No. I'm a one and done person. So, but there is no need to drink and have fun, man. You could not drink and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So
I have fun every time. I've never drank. So that's a good time. Well, Al, thank you. Thank you for coming the day after. I am going to proceed to go home and get back in bed, and you're going to go work.
I'm going to work. am dressed for work. I got stuff to do today.
Come on, give us a little behind the scenes of what's going on. So Alix is in retail. She owns Alley. I'm sure that you know about Alley, the golf apparel shop, but also all the Alexander collections and Alexander blues out there. Shopalex.com. So we are going into the holiday season.
Yeah, it is. So I've started to put product now that has come in, the inventory. I'm starting to put it in my office now. And I could see my husband who works with me is starting to like get twitchy a little bit. I'm like, Murray, we need to buy inventory right now because it is Christmas time. So
now's the time.
Yeah. It's like August, September, October is when you do the legwork. You're busy on the floor, November, December, but then your legwork is done already.
It's all in the end of August, September, October.
Yeah. And we're pretty much right now, October is pretty much the heavy lifting now. So, but it is, people ask me all the time, what's going on?
Yes. What's going on?
A leopard. There's a
leopard
lot
is
of
back.
Leopard is back. So if you
I feel like leopard comes back, it's like a 3-year.
Don't ever get rid of your leopard.
Yeah.
Anyone, just don't get rid of your belts either. Yeah. Belts are making a way back. Skinny jeans are still, Megan Cool keeps texting me if skinny jeans are back.
Me too.
And they keep trying to bring them back, but the styles that are on line sheets are always full size runs. Nobody's buying them.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. It's wider leg. I mean, it could change next year, but, it has been wide legs for a long time, but,
the main reason why I struggle with wide legs, first of all, I feel like it makes me look wide, but also I do not know what shoes to wear. Like, especially when they are like not hitting the floor and they're like, just below ankle. It's like, wait, what shoes am I wearing with this? I don't get it.
If it's a wide leg, you don't want to wear like round toed shoes.
No, totally.
So then you put on sneakers and then you're like, wait, these are wrong. You just got to keep trying shoes on. You'll find which ones. Just try them all on.
I feel like all our straight, like skinny jean people, we need to join forces and get the tighter jeans back.
I did just this morning. I woke up and I'm like, I think I need to buy some Spanx leggings. So I bought those for the stores.
So I always bring my Spanx leggings out and at holiday season, wear them to holiday
do you have
parties.
The coated ones?
I have the original. I mean, I probably bought them like 5 years ago and they're camouflage, but all black. Is hard to explain, but I love them.
Yeah. People were asking like, hey, do you guys have any legging? I'm like, okay, get some more leggings. So there's your, that's your skinny jean.
Yeah. And we can wear high boots now. Are those back yet?
They are.
Okay.
They are.
Like meaning high, like knee length.
Yeah. But here in Arizona, it's really hard to wear those. It's you're in Chicago or New York. It's easy to wear those. You get here and you want to wear flip flops, which is what we wear majority of the time.
Flip flops with leggings. That's a look too.
Oh, I love that look.
I know. It's hard. God. It's a different atmosphere here in Arizona.
Yeah, love it.
All right, Al, you'll be back again soon, but thanks for sharing your experience.
Okay,
thanks for taking one for the team. I'm super grateful.
No, I loved it. It was awesome.
She says she's coming to Desert Classic, so if she plays, she's going to play with someone else. But if she doesn't play, she'll be at all the parties.
Yeah, I think she should be one of the like a mascot.
Yeah,
you can dress her up.
Yeah, she will never allow that. But good try. All right, thanks, Al.
Bye.